into NiceRadio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on NiceRadio for A View from the Outside.
Yes, and it's Saturday morning right here on NiceRadio as we say good morning to Brereton Horne.
Good morning to you, Justin Douglas. How are you this morning?
Quite nice, great, and wonderful.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So how is everything in St. Vincent? How's the weather? How is everything?
The weather is a little bit tricky. The rain comes down without much notice. You know, sometimes, right. As we say in local Palang, the rain make up.
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
You get no idea. It just comes on like that. But for a brief period.
The people who have clothes on the clotheslines and stuff have to be scrambling to get them up.
Yeah, you have to keep an eye out.
Yes.
Yeah, they say the temperature is at 25.4. 25.4.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And what they have?
And you're talking Celsius, of course.
Pardon me?
You're talking Celsius, of course.
Yes, Celsius.
Yes.
And on your end, it should be about 4 degrees Celsius.
You got that spot on. 4 degrees Celsius, indeed.
Okay. Well, you know, we usually chat about a whole lot of stuff. So many things I had, but I say let's focus on our own issues here. And I think the one that I decided to pick out this morning is the fact that the ruling party seem to be playing catch-up. What's your views on that before you get into your main thing? Because in my view, they more or less shot themselves in the foot. In that you're not giving the opposition the respect in the House. When they're making a presentation, you're rudely interrupting them. So what do you want them to do? They want to do the job of the people. So that's why I would like very much what they're going to do on Monday.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, well, yes, Justin. I fully understand you.
You will get an unadulterated presentation of what they really want to do instead of being interrupted, and the people doesn't get a proper idea of what the opposition have in mind.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you said, the New Democratic Party's position when they walked out of Parliament was really because they have been undermined in Parliament.
Oh, yes.
In relation to their no confidence, the motion of no confidence which they brought against the government. Mm-hmm. And the government having, and that would be part of what we discussed this morning on A View from the Outside.
Correct.
But the government having, bullied and railroaded the Speaker of the House into making a decision in their favor.
Yeah. We should be about serious business and not like the comedy that I played a while ago.
Yes.
All right, man. So it's all yours.
Yes. Yes, Justin. Let me say good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, wherever you are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to all listeners everywhere. Pleasant morning to you from London. The weather is very heavily overcast. There's some rain in the atmosphere, and as Justin said earlier, the temperature is 4 degrees Celsius here in London, which is about 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Just before we go into the View from the Outside this week, I want to just say congratulations to Michael L. Thomas Jr. And Michael L. Thomas Jr. is a Vincentian born who has been appointed or elected, I should say, to the president of Harvard Law Review. And he is the third black man now, and he follows in the footsteps of Barack Obama who went on to become President of the United States of America. We're not saying that Michael Thomas is going to go on to become President of the USA, but we are saying congratulations to him for really landing that prestigious position. And it's kudos to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
So Brereton, is it possible you can get a word with him so we can hear his voice and some of his views? Not necessarily on the local politics, but, you know.
Yes, everything is possible, Justin.
All right.
It's worth a try. It's worth a try.
Great,
so
great.
I'll make that effort.
No problem, man. All right.
All right. So on a view from the outside this week being the 10th of February 2018, we continue our final look at image. This is the final in the three-part series, as we continue to say that unless the citizens and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines take serious steps to arrest or to stop the negative image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which has been projected around the world, then the irreparable damage to the image of the country will continue. As we continue this look, we ask you, the listeners, to bear in mind the Cambridge Dictionary definition of image, which is the way that something or someone is thought of by other people. So when we talk about the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are really talking about what people think of our country when they hear the name mentioned. We said that generally the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not a good one. That remains the position. Over the last few weeks, we showed you how St. Vincent and the Grenadines is perceived in relation to the undermining and erosion of the rule of law and the broken nature of the criminal justice system. And we highlighted the plight of Yogi Ferrell to exemplify this. Well, Yogi's story continues to galvanize people to protest around the world, including Toronto, New York, and London. People are unhappy also about the dynastic, monstrous, and glaring nepotism taking place in the country. People are extremely unhappy about the father, son, and daughter-in-law trilogy which controls the nation's purse. People see it as a recipe for corruption and could lead further to a situation where the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are denied the kind of accountability which is enshrined in the laws of the country. This week, as we continue to take a look at the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it is evident that the country's image is far removed from that of a place once revered as blessed and tranquil. The country is now seen as a place where drugs in the custody of the police, which are part of the evidence in an ongoing criminal case, simply disappear. And up to now, no one has been held accountable for the disappearance of those drugs. Surely, this does not bode well for the police. It impacts severely on the public's trust and confidence in the police. A police force which is already battling to save its own image and reputation in the face of an escalating rise in the record number of murders and other serious crimes in the country. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is now seen as a place where fear stalks the land. Fear pervades the entire country, and people at home, in particular, are afraid to protest in a similar way to that of their counterparts in the Vincentian diaspora across the world, who protest on their behalf. As part of the ensnaring of this fear and creating a culture of silence, Women who dare to speak out about the domestic violence and sexual abuse against them are stripped of their dignity and denigrated on the airwaves and even in the parliament of the country. Those women who come forward and talk about their abuse by men in the upper echelons of society are labeled mentally ill. And as a result, many women who suffer a similar plight cower in silence out of fear of suffering a similar fate. Many are afraid that if they speak out, they or other members of their family will be victimized in other ways, such as being sacked from their jobs or not being hired at all. And while this fear is being cultivated among the general population, there are abusers, diplomats all, supporters of the regime who are shielded and protected. Vincentians, this fear need not exist. Vincentians, it is time to rid yourself of that fear. Do not stay silent, because the more you stay silent is the more comfortable they remain. If and when you relieve yourself of that fear, you will be elated, you'll be happy to know that you have contributed to restoring the image of our country. The image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is further tarnished by what many see as the poor state of health care in the country. There is anecdotal evidence that there is a complete lack of basic medication and supplies in the general hospital and other clinics around the country. Patients are having to find ways and means to buy their medication from private pharmacies. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is seen as a place where agriculture and the farming industry in particular for the ordinary farmer have been destroyed, and the nation is pushed into poverty where all roads lead to Papa, as the head of the regime calls himself. It is seen, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is seen as a place where plantocracy is on the rise again. The Cocoa Project is controlled by one family. And from all reports, there are efforts made behind the scenes to purchase and acquire lands and to deprive ordinary citizens of their land for that enterprise. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is also seen as a place where there is an attack on private businesses, in particular those who are perceived not to be supporters of the regime. Bigger Bigs and others immediately spring to mind. Our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is seen as a place where the regime protects those who fleece ordinary struggling Vincentians, the dog walkers, those who are described as dog walkers and babysitters living in the USA. The regime is seen to protect those who fleece those people of their hard-earned money by promising them green cards and citizenship. It is seen, our country is seen as a place where parliamentary democracy is at its lowest ebb. Democracy, parliamentary democracy in the country has been disappearing. It must be remembered that on Thursday, the 3rd of March, 2011, the opposition members of parliament were literally bundled down the stairs of parliament after having been tossed out by an order of the court, by an order of the then speaker. An action the bundling down of the stairs, which has resulted in causing long-term injury of at least one member of the opposition. Parliament has now become a place where the current Speaker of the House is railroaded and seemingly battered into submission, so much so that he has made a ruling which effectively states that the opposition in St. Vincent and the Grenadines cannot bring a motion of no confidence against the government. Our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is seen further as a place where every effort is made to shut up everyone or anyone who has an alternative view to the regime. And the regime makes every attempt to extend its tentacles across the internet. Every effort is made to silence people, and every effort is made to shut down NiceRadio, the one medium which many see as the voice of the people. Our country is seen as one which saps the financial blood out of Venezuela, while the citizens of that country lack food and basic supplies on a daily basis. Vincentians, this image of the country, our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, cannot be allowed to continue. And so, as we end this final episode in this three-part series on image, we, on A View from the Outside, urge you, we encourage you, each and every one of you, to take pride in yourself and to do everything to restore pride in our country. Let us all together stand up for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as we do so, let us do as Bob Marley encouraged us to do. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up for your right. Until next week, this Justin and all of the listeners, this is Brereton Horne with A View from the Outside, and we are encouraging all our listeners and reminding them to send feedback to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Have a good weekend. Have a pleasant Saturday and a beautiful Sunday, and have a wonderful week ahead where we take steps as we get up, stand up, to improve the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All the best to you, Justin, and the listeners.
Okay, thank you so much.